No. Listen, we can go on. It's not, the cocktail will wait and we have time. The thing is that just to be efficient, and we have a little bit of aperitif before we are leaving. But just to conclude this session, and you have to thank all these wonderful
we do drinks before drinks?
No, we are not doing drinks now. Wait with the drinks. You will. So just feel free. And just to conclude that, the goal, as I said in the morning, was to create collaboration. I think we had wonderful opportunities and wonderful suggestions. And just to pick up on the last topics that we were talking about, the microbiome and the antibiotics, what Professor Sorkin said in the beginning, I think that you were talking about a huge cohort of microbiomes that you are building, and Professor Sorkin is one who is doing also analysis, and he's not the only one. We have a very strong group in Tel Aviv, and that relates to what was doing here. So I just encourage this collaboration. And the second step I wanted to say that we were talking a lot about aging from all point of view. And just to remind you that on Thursday in Tel Aviv, we have a healthy aging symposium, and we will try to really take the broadband, all point of view, and analyze towards a specificity or specific topic of healthy aging, which I think is at the interest of all of us. Being very young here, but it's okay. But as I said, Mauro, aperitif is not always alcohol. So I wanted to invite a very, very special lecture, as you know, maybe a kind of conclusion and maybe a kind of visionary. And I want to ask Avi Yaron to come and to give us the combination between personal experience and maybe imaging and clinical application. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. Mira, thanks for the warm welcome. I'm afraid that I'm only going to lose, because the drink is probably preferable, but I'll try to do my best.
But you can see the sunset from here.
So Mira, just like an hour ago, asked me, will you be a sport and do this talk? And I said, more than fine. I'm going to share with you a life story, and I think it's both catastrophic and extremely optimistic, and definitely includes lots of learning, hopefully not only for me, but also for others. And it's definitely extremely multidisciplinary. So I will start. Please feel free to stop, ask questions. I'm fine with everything, okay? And approximately 15 minutes, you're already on the bus on the way to injecting alcohol. And I will even touch a bit about alcohol and what is it good for. My story starts in 1993. I was riding my Ducati between Tel Aviv University, doing my undergrad and grad in electrical engineering in parallel to a physics degree. On my way to my startup, I was among the developers of Wi-Fi and invented a few inventions till then. This was after 5 years of extreme service in one of the elite units of the intelligence force. I considered myself a Superman, superhero, resistant to anything. And there I am involved in a crash with my motorcycle. I'm rushed to the hospital. They scan my brain, and they find the brain tumor. Boom, boom. brain tumor, me. I'm only 26. But it got even worse. The brain tumor was exactly in the middle of my brain. And to reach that location, I would be left hemiparetic. I would suffer from epileptic seizures, and I would lose cognitive capabilities. So here I am at 26, at the prime time of my life, and to survive, I have to sacrifice most of it. I mean, what do you do? Do you go through such a surgery, or do you, I don't know what. I went to 2 additional neurosurgeons, all of them department heads. One told me, you probably have cancer, you must be operated immediately. The other told me, I'm not sure, let's do a biopsy. And the third told me, I'm not sure, let's wait 3 months and rescan. What do you do? I mean, either I'm going to die or I have some time. What should I do? Go to a 4th? No, I started studying medicine. Obviously, I had lots of free time, so it was on the 10th, obviously studying on my own, not going to courses. So, and again, my background is physics, electrical engineering, not, I had to learn biology, chemistry, anatomy, and obviously neurosurgery is, I think, even another layer, but I was so desperate, I was going to die anyway. To tell the truth, I'm also a very curious person, and this was really fascinating for me. It opened like a new window, so I'm not sure whether I was more desperate to save my life or more curious with this new investigation. But through the months, I found various non-invasive technologies to try to understand whether I have cancer or benign, whether I have 3 months or 3 years to live. And every 3 months I did an MRI, and unfortunately the tumor did not shrink. I tried in the beginning, hypnosis and guided imagination and Chinese medicine. And as the months went by, I got more and more desperate, and I started learning and practicing all the alternative medicines that till then I would not even consider. I would say I would even laugh, all the more holistic, including bioergonomy and Reiki and others. And I learned them from lots of curiosity. And eventually, after a year and a half, I had no other choice. The tumor was growing to a phase that I was really at risk, and I knew because physicians always shouted at me, and I mean, everyone stopped believing in me, including my mother and father and even my girlfriend. I mean, everyone thought that I have a brain tumor, something. I lost my sense of judgment, but I knew I didn't. And when I learned how to read MRI on my own. I didn't wait a week, everything for the diagnosis, and there I saw, my left ventricle was really dilated. I was obviously suffering from serious ICP, intracranial pressure. I suffered continuously from headaches, and I knew that it's better to have a surgery before I'm completely symptomatic. I already flew to many neurosurgical conferences. I knew a surgeon by the name of Patrick Kelly in NYU. He was heading the department. And this is a year and a half after I initially found the tumor. He operated me in May 95. Took 2 days. He was the first one to use really sophisticated technology. He integrated or overlaid an MRI, CT, and angio in a volumetric manner and pre-planned. I asked him to go through the, frontal lobe and not the transcortical, so I would not be hemiparetic. I basically, I would say, was a partner to the surgery. Went very well. then lots of complications, 6 months of recuperation there. I'm shortcutting because I want to get to the point. Eventually I returned to Israel and recuperated my life. I learned that the crazy intensity that I lived, I mean, I was basically sleeping 4 hours every second day. This is how I got, so much accomplished in such a short time, but I learned that although I can handle and cope with it very well, and I was trained in the army, or maybe beforehand, my body is paying a severe price, and the fact that I live in such a stressful situation obviously depresses my immune system, and from there on to disease is just a question of time, vitality, immunity, genetics, and obviously complicated reason. It's not something simplistic. So I understood that statistically, since I was so young and maybe I miraculously survived this incident, I will change my life. I started sleeping 6 hours a night, which I really felt is a huge waste of time. I changed my nutrition, I changed my perception. I really changed, I've even changed my profession to some degree, and later on I even found the love of my life, and things really fell into place. But you know that life is not really like right? It's not always white. Every 3 months I still did an MRI, control MRI, and it was really devastating after 18 months to find that there was still tumor there, that my surgeon was not able to resect all the tumor. Naturally, I immediately took the first plane to New York. We were friends. I spent 6 months in his hospital, and we had lots of good ideas that we brainstormed together. And he told me, look, Avi, my friend, I don't have the technology to operate on you. Wait for someone to invent a miniature stereoscopic camera, come back in 5 years and I'll operate on you. And he thought he was doing me a favor, but for me it was like, I'm going to be a zipper head until someone is going to invent this. I'm going to be open, cleaned, closed, open, cleaned, closed. Every time, 6 months of complications. This is my life, and if I want to get married, I mean, what should I do? I don't have a future. So obviously, you know that frustration and despair leads to good things. And after learning for 2 years, I mean, why the optomechanical stereoscopic microscope could not deliver what he did, etc., I invented the solution based on a single chip. Basically, it's like mimicking. It's a combination of the mammal 2 eyes and the insect matrix of eyes on a single microchip, combined with sophisticated algorithms, and drove that invention from my idea to a global company, living 10 years in the US for that. And I'm not going to share the troubles, but the overall frustration that even after such a tremendous success, that while even standing here, someone is being operated with a technology and system that I invented and developed, eventually these tumors will recur, right? And the question is why? What is the root cause of the disease? I think there was another huge frustration for me as a technologist that although this technology was well clinically proven by the big university hospitals, mostly in the US, it took us years and tens of millions of dollars to reach a broad acceptance, and I was very frustrated that the medicine that is dealing with the most sophisticated machine on earth is, from my perspective, very conservative in accepting new tools and new technologies. And there's like a contradiction, because the more sophisticated and innovative the technology, the faster that it will basically become obsolete. And in vision sense, in the company that I incepted, we had to develop 3 generations of technologies, every time new sensors and more sophisticated. This is tens of millions of dollars, okay? It's extremely untypical for a startup to even survive in this mode, up to the point that we made it to become the standard. And then I returned to Israel, and I mean, I brought a CEO to replace, stayed on the board 3 years. I mean, the company is doing well, but thought, what do I do with my life? And I understood that, there is a missing element in medicine, right? Because medicine is based on facts and on science, which I appreciate, but there is a missing link. I mean, what about the emotional side of medicine? We all know, and even medicine proved that, let's say depression has comorbidities, right? But what are the mechanisms behind it? We all know that happy people are healthier, but why? Right? And et cetera, and it's very difficult because now you have to monitoring humans 24/7 for their mood, right? In a scientifically proven manner, and then to collect like big data and to correlate maybe diseases later on, right? I mean, and we all know that we typically get a cold a few days after we didn't sleep or we were very angry, right? We know that sometimes many diseases are correlated to emotions, but there is no scientific proof. So maybe I can do that. Maybe I can basically build this big data, okay, and have people wear these devices and then allow medicine to whatever I wanted, allow them to have preventative medicine, but not only preventative, but personal. So personalized preventative medicine. Why not in this day and age of technology? But I understood that going through physicians will be too late and too conservative. And then I said, okay, why don't I do it through people? But when you talk with people about prevention, they typically will not do anything for their health, okay? We will go to the doctor only when it's too late, only after we develop the disease. Unfortunately, if it's not acute, if it's a chronic disease, the physician has typically the tools just to exchange one symptom with the other. They will not really cure us. They will be very proud of extending our life expectancy, and they would not be as proud in our quality of life, meaning today in the US, 8% of the population are diagnosed with depression, 18% are diagnosed with anxiety, and only God knows how many are running undiagnosed. And the question is, what can I do to enhance the well-being, but in a scientifically proven manner? And nowadays, I'm cutting short. So I'm heading a group which is called Joy Ventures, which is trying to do just that, set an ecosystem to begin with in Israel and then hopefully globally, that supports academia by providing grants, with annual calls to research the field of neuro health, neuro wellness, stress, etc., promote the science in that area, not just in the neurodegenerative diseases. And on the other hand, support entrepreneurship, support, incubate, accelerate ideas, and invest in startups in the field that we call neurohealth. What's neurohealth? I mean, it's a fancy name for health that relates. Neuro is not just the brain. We have a few brains, but basically it's like predictive preventative medicine. But we don't want to say medicine because these will be consumer products sold to the public, not via physicians. So Joy Ventures was set up a year ago. We had one academic call out. We invested till now in one company. We have bi-monthly events to try and get the academia closer to the industry. In our calls, we promote and give higher grading to interdiscipline collaboration, collaboration between various universities, collaboration with universities and industry, etc. And we are really trying to develop a new field, which we call neuro wellness. You probably will have a better term for it, to allow people to live happier, healthier, with less stress, to improve their mood, to learn how to develop stress resiliency, to learn how to, and we call it joy because we want to tempt them with fun, to learn how to put some pause into our crazily intensive life, which does not stop, right? Because of these technologies that we don't have a license and we misuse, we misdrive. And because of them, we have no break, right? And we can't fall asleep because we're full with cortisols, etc. So we're trying to do it through funification, but scientifically proved funification and scientifically proved solutions to enhance the well-being. I think my time is up. I can obviously talk much more, but I'm really excited about this symposium, if I may, that is so multidisciplined, and I think that this is the way to reach extreme creativity. I think that this amazing machine of us deserves a lot of multidisciplined approaches and solutions. As I heard here, why just take antibiotics? Why not do this and this and this? I think that this is probably the more appropriate approach for such a sophisticated system. And I'm more than welcome to hear your thoughts, etc., and to assist you. Thanks, and enjoy the alcohol.
Maybe somebody wants to ask something.
Okay.
First of all, thank you. And now you understand why is it aperitif. And I am ready to be your first case study to reduce all this stress and everything. Any remarks before we are going to have a real joy?
Have you traveled to the country of Bhutan?
Of course, I know Bhutan.
That has been the sub happiness to every person, right? Is it something real, or I'm sorry for that question, but I mean, is it something that you, is it real? That's something you think?
It sounds fair because look, we in the Western, maybe I will, yeah. In the Western civilization, we lived like an intensive life, right? So I wish we could basically copy whatever Bhutan is doing, but I think that it's not really realistic for Israel, the US, or Europe. So we need to learn from them whatever we can, but and apply to our crazy modern life, okay? By the way, when we look at it, because we're so stressed, we search for various de-stressors. So small breaks, alcohol is a small break. Chewing on carbohydrates, whatever I'm saying is scientifically proven. So consuming carbohydrates will reduce stress level, right? Smoking a cigarette may be unhealthy physically, but it may be very healthy mentally because of the break, etc., etc. My challenge is to create a scientifically proven, healthy, short break. Because typically you could take, I mean, if you go now hiking, that's a long break, that's very healthy, but who has the time? The same is like fast food versus slow food. Slow food healthy, fast food unhealthy. How can we create...
I read that they put it on kind of national-wide level to the industry.
Amazing. I think, I mean, every country should have a happiness minister, no doubt, but why don't we have one? I don't know.
Okay, let's start with the happiness ministry now, and we'll go to the bus here that is waiting for us. We have in the spa viewing a little bit of the late sunset. We'll have alcohol. We have a cocktail at the spa. Please be sure to go into the water as well because it's very healthy and very relaxing. So enjoy the evening, and then at 7:30 we are going to dinner. Thank you. Thank you, and thanks to all speakers. Thank you.